Coming off of LSU's victory over South Carolina last weekend, former LSU tight end Richard Dickson said he was proud to watch Mason Taylor break his reception record on Saturday. But there were several things Dickson wasn't proud of from Brian Kelly's LSU Tigers during the game. He also noted that he pulled all of his hair out during the event, and I'm sure he's not alone on that one. After a message from our sponsors, we'll listen to what Dickson shared with Glenn Guilbeau, Todd Horne, and Jeff Palermo, and where he thinks the Tigers' offense can make the most improvement moving forward. I'm your host, Jake McMains, and we'll be back right after this.
Hi, I'm Mike Munnerlin, and we're here to smash the capital city's trash.
Smash My Trash is a revolutionary compactor for large dumpsters, sometimes reducing the volume of waste by up to 70%. This means fewer hauls per month and big savings for your business. Fewer hauls and compacted waste will also result in a positive impact on our community and our environment by taking up less space in our local landfill sites. Schedule your company's free demo today. Call 225-497-0101.
Y'all ready? Yeah. Let's go. Come on.
Tiger Rag Radio is on the air.
Let's crank this thing up.
We're statewide, breaking down the latest happenings with LSU athletics.
This is us.
Hear from the coaches.
Put together a defense that puts us in a position to win the SEC.
The players.
Having fun and we working, baby. That's it, man.
The recruits.
Show some passion and some heart.
And those who cover the Fighting Tigers of LSU and the SEC.
All those things are going to be there, which are important.
It's 2 hours of nonstop LSU talk.
What a privilege. I mean, you get to represent LSU.
Tiger Rag Radio is brought to you by Cummins. Cummins creates power solutions that the world depends on. Helm Paint and Decorating. The paint experts of Louisiana. Louisiana Beef Industry Council. Max Home. And the East Baton Rouge Parish Library. Get ready to talk Tigers with producer Jackson Blackman and our hosts, Todd Horne and Jeff Palermo.
3 great players that are better people than they are players.
This is Tiger Rag Radio.
And good evening, everyone. Jeff Palermo, News and Sports Director of Louisiana Radio Network, along with the editor for Tiger Rag Magazine, Glenn Guilbeau, and the executive editor for Tiger Rag Magazine, Todd Horne. Glad you could join us on this show. What a game on Saturday night. Or actually, I should say Saturday. It almost went till Saturday night. That was about as long as it gets when it comes to a college football game, but a crazy game with a bunch of twists and turns. LSU somehow pulled it out in the end, beating the Gamecocks 36-33. We'll talk about that. We'll also look ahead to Saturday's game against UCLA. We'll talk about what else is happening in the Southeastern Conference. Georgia barely getting past Kentucky. Alabama dominating Wisconsin and Madison. And get into some other things as well. So a lot to get to as Glenn and Todd. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Glenn, how you doing?
Doing well, man. Ready.
That
was a heck of a game Saturday, and they got a couple of more little warm-ups before the big one against Ole Miss.
All right, well, we'll see if the next 2 games are if they make these next 2 games interesting, and we know there are some serious issues. But let's bring in our first guest of the night on the Max Home Hotline. That is former LSU Tiger Richard Dickson. He joins us here on Tiger Rag Radio. Richard, thanks a lot for joining us on the show. It's great to have you on. How you doing tonight?
Doing good, guys. How y'all doing?
Oh, we're doing well. So how much hair did you pull out during that game on Saturday?
Quite a bit. I mean, I walked into the post-game show looking like a porcupine. I've tried to pull it all out. It was frustrating, but, you know, when you go back and do the film review, there's also things to be positive about.
Well, I think one of the biggest positives, Richard, you come back from 17 down. I mean,
no
in
doubt.
A hostile environment. And I know a lot of fans are and you should. Yeah, you give up the 2 long touchdown runs. You can't score inside the 5-yard line. You got 7 yards of total offense after the first half, special teams miscues, man, all kinds of glaring errors. But in the bottom line is they won, and they had to do so in a very difficult environment. Maybe South Carolina played above its skis in that game, especially in the first quarter, but LSU somehow figured out to hang in there and come from behind and win it.
No doubt. I mean, it speaks a lot of this team's character and their will. Look, we've all seen teams get down on the road, and you see all the finger pointing and the hand waving, and guys kind of give up. But these guys kept fighting. They all believed in each other. You know, they made it a 1-score game at the half, and you know, just battled the whole way. I mean, look, everybody wants to see a prettier game. Everybody, you know, wants to see you score when you get inside the 5. And I don't give a dang if it's a pass, run, but you got to move the ball. You can't have stops down there because that's where it puts you in bad situations.
Hey, Richard, what surprised you the most about that game? Was it the fact that maybe South Carolina was a little bit better than we thought they might be going into the game, or were they pretty much what you expected?
Well, we knew their D-line was elite. They got two ends on there that have caused havoc, really great on the pass rush. We knew this was going to be a test for Will Campbell and Emory Jones. And, look, I think, Will probably had his worst night as a Tiger. He got after him a good bit. But, offensively, I didn't expect for them to come out and score like that. But, when I watched the Nichols tape and I watched what they did in their little Wildcat formation, we knew it was going to be a package. I just hoped that we'd clean that up.
Well, Richard, this is Glenn Guilbeau. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good.
Good. Was part of the frustration of the game for you the fact that Mason Taylor broke your record, man? Your tight end reception record at LSU, 90 receptions. He got 91.
I think it's quite impressive that he did it in 2 seasons and 3 games. It took me 4 years.
Well, you had a great career. There's no question about it. National champion in the 2007 season. But what do you think about Mason Taylor as a tight end and as a target for Nussmeier?
I think Mason Taylor's going to be a guy that plays in the NFL a long time. He's got the size, he's got the physicality. Blocking is something that he hasn't been great at, but I see him getting better. He's big and strong. He's gotten up over 250 pounds. He's a very good safety valve for the guy right now. I mean, we don't have the deep threats that we've had in the past, and I get people blowing me up on the post game that saying that we still have elite receivers. Well, I think we got to get a lot of possession receivers right now. We don't have a Malik Neighbors. We don't have Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, we just don't have those guys right now. And Mason Taylor's a great guy to have across the middle and be an outlet for Nuss.
It's time to start betting on yourself. Louisiana 988 can help if you're dealing with tough emotions caused by gambling habits. You can share as much or as little as you want, and it's completely confidential. It's free, available 24/7, and most people who reach out report feeling better right in the moment. Call or text 988 anytime.
Richard, you mentioned the blocking, and you mentioned earlier that Campbell probably had his worst game as a Tiger, and they were significantly challenged by that basically NFL players playing on the edge, at least for South Carolina. But what did you think of the overall blocking of the offensive line? And what do you make of the lack of a rushing game? They're like second to last in the SEC right now.
The rushing game to me is the most frustrating because I got a little upset during the game. I'm always way more emotional Saturday night than I am Monday morning. When I went back and looked at it, yeah, they had a rough night, but it wasn't all on them. I think we really struggled with running back pickups, and it's really hard without being in the meeting room, knowing if they're designed to look inside out or one side. But there was multiple plays when you go back and watch that you had a running back filling into help and nobody in the A gaps and B gaps, which allowed pressure. And also, I think we got a young center right there that people are not thinking about. He's still coming along. He's getting better, but he's struggling a little bit right now when they put a guy over the top of him.
What do you specifically think about the running game though? Overall, 3 games into the season.
The running game is not good, and that's what's frustrating to me because I was talking to guys Saturday night. In 2007, we had we walked into the season. You're talking about 2 first-round tackles, best offensive line in the country. Well, in 2007, we had one guy drafted that was Herman Johnson, drafted in the 5th round, and multiple 3rd and shorts against a Florida team that I thought was as talented, if not more talented. And it was just, our style. I know it was a different day and age in football, but you give me a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, anything 3rd and 1 to 3, you weren't going to stop us. We were going to get those yards.
Yeah, that was that Jacob Hester game where he converted all those 3rd and shorts and 4th and shorts, but it was the O-line doing that along with Jacob, as you said.
Yeah, I mean, when you go back and look at this stat that I saw earlier today, in a 3rd and 1 to 3 right now, we're averaging 1.8 yards a carry and only converting it 25% of the time. And that's terrible for me. I mean, we got to be better. These guys got to play with better pad leverage. They're playing high, which, look, the last 2 years have covered up a lot of things when you had Jaden Daniels who could run away from anybody. I mean, he evaded sacks. he helped out the running game because they ran a lot of zone reads to where people could not ignore the quarterback. And right now, as guys are keying in, they're putting their nose in the ground, and they're blowing it up.
Well, Todd and I were talking earlier today, and Todd mentioned that I think it was in the second quarter that LSU switched to more of a zone blocking. And do you think they're going to, and pretty much used it the rest of the game with success, do you think they're going to stay with that the rest of the season, or do you think they should?
I like the way it opened up holes, and when you get Caden Durham involved, he's an elite running back that we didn't have on the roster right now. He's a guy that has good vision, good balance. He bounced a lot of cuts. When you go look at the way he ran, he would set up the run so well to hit up the middle and bounce it outside and catch a seam. And, as long as they're getting that going, it opens up the rest of the offense. When he started busting a couple of runs, you started seeing the ball get down the field. We started scoring more. I think they just got to keep playing with it and get him ready to go.
So when you talk about Caden Durham, I think he surprised a lot of people, but he didn't surprise me because I noticed early in camp, even though he was a summer enrollee, that not only did he have elite speed, but I could tell that he had elite vision too. And, I can understand why Kelly is hesitant to, just give him the starting position and say he's the primary back because he is a freshman. And as you know, and you alluded to already, they have to understand how to pass block and that, there's more to it than just being a good running back and having good vision. But who does he remind you of, if anyone, the former LSU running back?
He reminds me a lot of Michael Ford. Just the way that his stature and size, he's a lot stronger than people think. He's got elite speed. When I watch his game tape a lot, he runs a lot to Michael Ford style.
Yeah, and he was a track star in high school.
Yeah. He was on the 4x100 relay state championship relay team, and I think he ran a 10-1 or a 10-2.
I think from some of the praise that Kelly gave Caden Saturday night and again yesterday, I haven't heard him praise a running back like that at LSU, and he doesn't want to come out and say that he's the guy, but I think he is going to be the guy.
I still think, and I'd be interested to see what Richard says, but I still think that it's a little more complicated than that because of the pass blocking. That it's hard for a freshman to wrap their head around all those reads that they have to make.
It's the hardest thing to do, and to me, in offensive football, is being a tailback. My freshman year, I had to do a lot of it from kind of an H-back style when I'd line up off the ball as a tight end, and that's complicated. I mean, I can remember my first road start was against Auburn, and the whole team gets to go to a movie. I had to stay in and go over pass protections because I was so nervous about picking up. When you're looking at this, you're scanning. You got a safety to a corner to backside. You got to look middle, left, right, and just things happen so fast. And when you're a freshman, you ran the ball the whole time. They weren't asking you to pass block, and now you have to get in there and make these reads so fast. It's really difficult.
What movie did you miss, Richard?
I can't remember. I know the whole team was going to the movie. And they're like, "Not you. You're staying back here to go over film."
Yeah, that is very true. I remember when Saban was the coach. I think it was Justin Vincent and Ali Broussard were really running well as freshmen, but he eventually benched him because Joe Adai knew how to block better. Put him in there for the blitz protection. So that's going to be key. I'm sure, because most of the guys, running backs like Caden and others, they're stars in high school, so they don't quite learn how to block. So that's a good point.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've seen it all the way down to my freshman year. Charles Scott had a big year at my freshman year, but he had guys like Justin Vincent and Jacob Hester that go in there in all the key down situations.
Right.
Well, on the offensive line, aside from DJ Chester being a freshman at center, and I know that's an important, role and position, but do you see this offensive line getting any better at run blocking as the season goes on, given that they're, been at it for 3 years for the most part, each of them?
Man, it's, to me, it's a mentality and it's a physicality that, you have to want to do it. You have to be gritty. You got to be ready to get in a fist fight that Will was talking about. And it's something that they just got to make up their mind and do because, look, they got the size. These guys can bench press a house. They just got to, get the mentality down. And then, look, they haven't been asked to do it for 2 years. We ran with Jaden Daniels, was our number one running back for the last 2 years. They got to do it though, because great teams can't win when you can't get over 2 yards on a third and 1.
And they really didn't have to block for Jaden. I mean, because it was ad lib.
It was there was so many different options. I went back and looked at it. When in 3rd and 1 to 3, when Jaden Daniels at quarterback, we averaged 4.5 yards a carry. And it wasn't that Jaden was getting all the carries. It's because they had to respect Jaden pulling the ball, which slowed up everybody.
Well, Richard, overall, what do you think? They have UCLA, then South Alabama, then it gets interesting with Ole Miss. Do you think they can improve enough to where they can be in a game with Ole Miss?
Yeah, I mean, look, the one thing we've seen over the past 2 years is the team gets better as the season goes on. We've really improved in the past 2 seasons from game 1 to game 4. It's just, they got to go out there, put in the work, and make up their mind and get it done.
Richard, great hearing from you. We appreciate your time. We'll have to get you back on the show here soon, and have a great night, my friend.
Have we got a September for you? Your East Baton Rouge Parish Library has 3 opportunities to meet author Jerry Pallotta, famous children's book author of Who Would Win? See art by Clementine Hunter and enjoy the sounds of the Baton Rouge Concert Band. These are just a few of the special things happening in September with your EBR Library. Details are at ebrpl.com. That's ebrpl.com.
All right, that'll be it for today's episode. I'd like to thank Jeff, Todd, Glenn, and Richard for the discussion. We'll be back later this week, but until then, stay tuned to TigerRag.com for all your latest LSU sports news.